Cora, Chapter 3. I was astonished to find that Cora loved to dance. And in her younger days, not that she was that old now, but when I met her, but she loved to fast dance with a partner, which isn't easy if you know anything about dance. She would tell these great stories about nightclubs along this strip. Isn't there always a strip? It's a strip of clubs. And as quiet and kind of almost wallflower-ish as she seemed, she said that the music would be within her and she would come to life on the dance floor. And then returning to the table was back to being quiet, but there was something about the music that would dwell within her. And she said she loved to go to these clubs with her beautiful daughter. But when she talked about her daughter, she always talked about it with great pride and talked about missing her daughter after her daughter's death. And I mean, it must be really hard to outlive all of your children like Cora had done. And but when she talked about her daughter, you could see flecks of different emotions in her eyes, fleeting moments of great pride, great sadness, and then one day she began to open up. She was really talking about the happy days of dressing up, really dressing up in after five clothes with the shoes and the bag and the whole bit, and the really the glitz and the glam in going to these clubs where back in the day they had live music, where the orchestras had the music stands with the initial of the band leader on it. Really the old school kind of romantic clubs that you see in the movies. And she really got to do that. And with her daughter. And I never did pry too much because she would shut down if you did that. So I just had to let her speak. But I was always curious about, well, who did they dance with? Who were the men? And oddly enough, she said that even though she was divorced, her ex would who also loved to dance and was a good dancer, and with his current woman on his arm, they would all go to these clubs together, and he would dance with all the women. But then other men would too. But I was curious about the daughter, and she would talk about the daughter and how beautiful she was and how well dressed she was and really glamorous, the kind of beauty, movie star beauty. And that was true because I had seen photos of her daughter, and that was no exaggeration. But then one day she kind of went off topic from talking about the clubs and how they would have food, and waiters in tuxedos were the servers, and I literally went there in my head with her. I felt like I was there in the club. But then her face turned serious, and she began to talk about all the skills that her daughter had. She was a great cook and had a really great personality, and everyone loved her. She had tons of friends and all of that. But then she turned very serious, and she said she wondered if the things she had done for her daughter at one point, she wondered about karma, if karma really did come to your door. If you really paid for what you considered or knew to be wrongs in your life, do you really pay for those? Eye for an eye kind of thing. And I was so curious. And the conversation went down the road of the death of her son at a younger age as a right on the cusp of being a teen, had been her karma for things she had done for her daughter, who was the oldest. Um, and I so wanted to know what she could have possibly done uh, for her daughter that she felt could have brought karma to her door in the death of her other child. What could that have been? I always had believed in karma, so I sat quietly hoping for more. That wasn't the day. That wasn't the day that I would find out. I did find out, but it took time. It took time, and it took trust from her, or her needing to unburden herself to someone who didn't know the players, who would never know the players, and that was me. Cora has much to tell, and you need to hear it.